Welcome back to the Cheap Air Gunner channel. I am Cherokee Steve, getting on with the 1322 modification slash giveaway video series. I started out today being kind of excited, literally as I was pulling out of my driveway to leave for work. The mail person was stopping by and delivering our mail, and within the mail, what was supposed to be the upgraded pump piston. So, on my way to work, I managed to get the envelope opened and pull it out, and what I noticed was, at least in appearance, the particular piston that was delivered to me looks absolutely no different from the stock piston that comes with the gun. If you look at the picture I posted of what I thought I was getting, and in addition to that, it's got a circular band of polymer around the four protruding supports that are in the middle of the piston. If you notice in the picture, previous videos that I've talked about this piston, the upgraded one, that's what I thought I was going to be getting. And quite honestly, when I modified my Crosman 2289 backpacker, I had ordered that same upgraded piston, and that's what I got. A piston that had a reinforcing circular polymer band around the middle of it. This particular one doesn't. As I said, it's just has the four, for lack of a better term, fins that support the middle of the piston, which is exactly the same as the piston that comes with the gun. Now, in credit to the place I ordered it from, I did some research after getting what I got, and found that I found a couple other websites that advertise a upgraded Crosman custom shop pump piston, and in their pictures it doesn't have that circular band around it. So whether or not they just use a different type of polymer that's stiffer for the custom shop ones now, and they've discontinued the pistons that have that extra circular support to it, I'm not sure, because I did find a website advertising, not the place I purchased my piston from, but another place, different place, that advertised a upgraded custom shop piston, and the picture on that particular site had the circular support band to its piston. So I'm confused exactly what is the upgraded Crosman custom shop pump piston. Regardless, I figured I'd make the best out of the situation that I had with the piston that was delivered to me. And what I'm going to show you is that particular piston. Now, I went ahead and modified it. As you can see, Okay, there is no circular band of polymer. It's just these 4 recesses, and I filled them with metal rod. And to be more specific, these 2, this one here and this one here, it's a 5/32 drill blank. It's basically just a metal rod. The other 2, this one here and this one here, I used a long-handled Allen wrench that I cut. Now, the metal rod that I used was 5/32 in diameter, or approximately 1.156. What I found was using a 9/64 Allen wrench, not measuring across the flats on the wrench, but across opposite points where 2 of the flats meet, I was getting 156. So the largest width that you can achieve with a 9/64 Allen wrench, like I said, across those 2 points where flats meet, is 156. Now, I calipered the distance between the flat end here, and this has a radius over here, the end that's going to pivot on the pin, on the pump pin. But because it has a radius, the distance from this flat to the closest portion of this radius section, I was getting 1.550 with my calipers. So I went ahead and cut the overall length of all of these rods to in between 1.580 and 1.590. And on the radius itself, I took a pointy Dremel tool and cut in a small notch at the very bottom of that radius. And on that particular side of all 4 of these rods, after cutting them to approximately 1.590, I ground the end to a 45-degree angle. So you had a very sharp, pointy edge here, which I angled this rod in with the pointy edge going into the notch I made with my Dremel tool, and then with very tight, firm pressing, I was able to get the other end to sit on the flat. So basically, I have metal support rods in between all 4 of those fins, so to speak. And that is really going to be an extremely good rigid piston. It's what's called a stuffed piston. You can use, as I said, if this was something you would try at home, you could use a long-handled Allen wrench that would fit inside of here. You could use some some dull drills that you cut down with your cutoff wheel, with your Dremel tool. But you cut them to the proper length, make a small notch in the radius at the one end of the piston with a pointy Dremel tool, and machine or grind a nice 45-degree angle, or close to a 45. Doesn't have to be exactly 45. You just want to create an angle with a nice sharp point going up to one side of that rod, and that point is going to go into your notch. The whole thing presses together and is extremely firm. Now, just to be on the safe side, what I'm going to do is wrap that with electrical tape, just in case something were to come loose as far as one of those rods. So that's what I ended up with. Now, keep in mind, the diameter of this down here is slightly smaller than the diameter at this end of the piston and the diameter of the pump cup itself on the end. So there should be clearance there for the tape that I just wrapped around. But this is going to replace the stock piston. Now, fortunately, I have traded out that dowel pin for the solid pin that has the two O-rings on each end. So I'm just going to remove an O-ring off of one side of that pivot pin. Actually, what I want to do is open up the pump handle and take the pressure off of that pin. Remove an O-ring, push it out. Comes out very easily. Believe me, that's, you know, that right there is just a good example of if you need to work on the internals of the pump area of the gun. This is so much easier than pounding that dowel pin in and out. But having removed that, that allows us to take the barrel band off. Actually, I'm going to pull the pump linkage out. Then we'll take the barrel band off. Now, I've got a layer of electrical tape wrapped around this end of the barrel, so it's a pretty snug fit. So I'm going to have to work on that. So, unfortunately, I do have the stock. I got the pump handle removed as I tried to remove the barrel band. I was using a wooden dowel pin, putting it up against the edge of the barrel band and tapping it with my hammer. And what I thought was the barrel band was starting to move. It looked like it in relationship to the gap between the barrel band and the end of the pump tube. What was happening was the entire barrel was coming out. Which ended up coming out as an entire barrel. Now, that tubing I was using for the transfer port replacement butts up against the port in the barrel, so that may have it looks like there was some material left in the barrel port from that tubing, so I may have to redo that. So that's going to necessitate taking the breech off. So I'll get back after that's taken care of.